Just how much iron is too much? There's no such thing. Hello everybody, it's Slitherpuff here, and welcome back to episode 7 of Let's Get Rich, the series where we talk about gaining economic domination over servers, specifically survival multiplayer servers. Now, last episode we caught ourselves up on making a guardian farm. I showed kind of the quick and dirty process that I use to get that running. I've been using it on automatic farm to generate things like prismarine blocks, regular prismarine, food, and sea lanterns. And what I've been doing is I've been putting the sea lanterns specifically on the auction house to generate some passive income for myself, and it's been working really well. I've been putting each stack of prismarine lanterns up for about $1,000, and they usually sell pretty quickly. So this episode is about, you guessed it, making an iron farm. Now I want to talk a little bit about why I decided to make an iron farm next. So my goal is to generate passive income. So while I'm in the area, it's just constantly making money no matter what I'm doing, even if I'm just letting my character sit there for a while. So my thought was, I want to make something that everybody's going to need, something that once it's built, it's just going to run forever and constantly generate income. So my next project was building an iron farm. And I thought to myself, how much iron do I actually need? I mean, do I need one iron farm? Did I need 4 iron farms? Did I need 8 iron farms? I thought about this for a while, and I thought about how much time I wanted to put into the build. And after a lot of careful and thoughtful consideration, I decided to make 1 iron farm. Are you freaking kidding me? Come on now. You need to know me better than this. I made 24. Let's go. So as you can see here, 24 iron farms works really, really well. Now, I recorded this live, so don't mind that giant sugarcane farm you see down below. We'll get to that in time, so just shh, you didn't see any of that. Now, the fantastic thing about this farm is that it's right dab smack in the center of my base. So I can trigger my guardian farm, I can trigger my iron farm. It's always going to be working as I'm in this area. And I've just been getting stacks and stacks and stacks of iron blocks. I sell probably, anywhere from 16 to 24 stacks of iron blocks a day. And I want to be clear, this was done on a survival multiplayer server. This is not done in creative. So while I am flying around for visual effect, just know that some of this farm was created without fly, some of it was created with fly. There are fly vouchers that you can purchase with in-game money on the server, so I've just been using the iron to purchase fly. However, this can be done without fly. It just may take a little bit more time. So this took an extraordinary amount of time. Not quite as much as the ocean monument, but still quite a bit. But you can see the dividends are paying out. As I'm going through the chest here, you can see that all of them are producing a really nice amount of iron. I haven't collected it in a little while, but not all of them are producing the same amount. Some produce more than others. Now, I did make this design based on Jay's design. That's J365, and I'll put a link to his video below. Now, I debated on which design to use. I've tried Nimbomb's design in the past, and it's been very good, but I found that it required a lot of maintenance. Some of the pieces in Nimbomb's design, specifically the beds, the villagers, and the zombies, required a lot of maintenance, and they were also very difficult to maintain based on the configuration. So this time around, I really wanted something that was easy to build in bulk, didn't require redstone, and I didn't have to maintain it all. From my experience when playing on a survival multiplayer server, you may watch all these videos that look amazing and they're super complex and they produce a zillion resources an hour. My experience, it's better to build more of the smaller, simpler farms on survival because they tend to work more reliably. Now, I built this farm exactly to Jay's specifications, and I actually had some problems with it. The first problem was I built them 16 spaces apart, and they don't always all work at the same time. If I was going to make this again, I would spread them apart maybe another 6 blocks or so. It could still trigger. They're still in your radius to trigger them. But I feel like these are a little too close, and for whatever reason, the cells that are next to each other don't always operate at full capacity. Another issue that I had was the zombie window, and in Jay's video he has a 1 block window, and I found that after some testing mine seemed to work a little bit more reliably with a 3 block window, so I went ahead and added that into my design. Now I'm just going to quickly go through the steps that I used to build this farm. This isn't going to be a full tutorial. However, if you're interested in a full tutorial, please leave me a comment below and I'll consider doing that in the future. So the first thing that I needed to get this project started was some villagers. To get this whole project off the ground, you need 2 villagers to get it started. And then you can make a villager breeder with those 2 villagers, which can supply your whole farm. So the villager breeder that I used in this video was made by ImpulseSV, and you can check the video for his villager breeder down below. I've used this breeder in a lot of my different builds, and it works really, really well, and it's super easy to build. So what's the best way to get 2 villagers? That really kind of depends on your server. Most of the time, if I have a village nearby, what I'll do is I'll go to the village, get a boat, kind of push a villager into a boat, and then swim them back to my base. And in this case, there were no villages that I had nearby. So I used a strategy that we talked about earlier where I used my money to save me time. So on this server, you can get villager eggs from crates. So I spent a lot of money to buy villager eggs, and I bought 2. And unfortunately, when I threw one of them, it didn't work. So I actually had to buy 3, and they're really, really expensive on the server. So I would prefer to get them from villages, and it's really easy just to push them into a boat. And you can row the boat on land to get them into water and get them towards your base. But if you have easy access to villager eggs as well, I recommend using that if you can. The third option that you could use is if you have a villager that's a zombie, you find it in your base, you can trap it, turn it into a villager, and use those instead. So basically what you're going to want to do is build this villager breeding farm and get 2 villagers in the bed area. Now since there's 4 beds there and 2 villagers, they will breed and produce a baby. And then you'll take the very first baby and turn it into the farmer villager inside. So in this villager breeder here, I actually haven't used it in a while, and it looks like it's broken because the farmer villager moved into the cell with the other villagers. So I'll have to do some finagling here. Just imagine for, visualization that there's 1 less villager in the beds and 1 farmer villager inside. Basically what happens is that farmer villager farms up the crops, throws it to the bed villagers, which makes them breed, where they get carried by a stream of water down to their brand new house. So the next step is to get the villagers that are in the holding cell onto the giant railway and up into the iron farm. And to do this, you just put some rails in the holding cell, push them into a minecart, and then you just push them right out the door. So here I'm trying to get these villagers out, and really they're not being very cooperative. This one here, we've got some that are blocking the door, which are making this really kind of hard to get out. Hey guys, get out of there. What are you doing? Yeah, this isn't going to work. Time to take matters into my own hands. Unfortunately, I had to kill a couple of villagers just to make room to push some out. Hopefully this isn't the case, but we have extra villagers to spare. That's okay. We're going to try this again. Let's get another villager in the minecart, see if we can't clear the path. Ideally, you want to get the villager that's the closest to the exit out. We're going to push him underneath the path, and he'll just squeeze right through. So let's try this again. Let's put the cart on the one that's closest to the door. Here we go. We're in business. Are you kidding me? Come on. We're just going to kill all of you until we can get this right. All right. Here we go. All right, we've got one in the cart. Now we just need to push him out the door and push him up the railway. Slowly. Slowly. Please avert your eyes, as I definitely finished this rail in its entirety, and definitely did not suffocate this villager in the wall. That did not happen. Don't look at me like that, villagers. So, forget what you just saw and imagine that that villager made it out perfectly happy and perfectly alive. The next step is to get them onto this rail, which is going to carry them all the way up to the iron farm. Now, I positioned mine at the top of the world just so I can have a lot of vertical space to build things, but you can position yours wherever you want. So, just imagine that this rail goes all the way up. Now, I've deconstructed it a little bit to make room for some projects. Sorry, I'm pretty behind on my videos. I'll get better with that. And just imagine that this rail goes all the way up here, and we'll take the villager in a minecart and deliver them up to the iron farm. Now, once you get up to the top, basically a lot of the scaffolding I have has already been torn down. But once you get up to the top, you just branch the rail out and take one to each individual villager cell. In each individual cell, there are 3 beds and 3 workstations. In this project, I chose to use fishermen. I really didn't want to because barrels are an extra entity. And thus could cause lag. However, for whatever reason, they weren't really taking to the other jobs as well. So basically, you get the villagers in here. Once they turn into a fisherman, do a trade with them, and that will lock them into their profession. That's very important. If you don't trade with them, they will constantly lose fishermen, gain fishermen, and it's just going to be a big mess. So once you get the villagers in there, do a trade with them to lock them in. The other recommendation that I have is when you're building this, do 1 cell at a time. I've had a lot of problems building these in the past where I've built all of the cells and then tried to move the villagers in. And what happens is when you're moving the villagers up the ramp, if a villager gets close to a bed or a workstation, they can claim it even if they're not in the cell. So for example, let's say we had a villager moving up here, they could claim one of these beds, and then maybe you're taking them to the top layer and you deposit that villager in this cell. Well, now you have a problem because the bottom layer has been claimed and that villager is now in here. And if that happens multiple times, it can just create a lot of problems and the farm doesn't work quite right. This happened to me while building it. I actually built all of these cells and built all of the beds. And once I got done, it wasn't working. Like, it wasn't working hardly at all. And I wondered what I did wrong, and I had to completely tear up all the beds, tear up all the workstations, and start from scratch. So take that lesson learned from me. Build 1 cell at a time. So just build 3 beds, build 3 workstations, and then put 3 villagers in. Make sure you do your 3 trades, close them in, and then go on to your next cell. You want to make sure that these villagers have a covering over them so that they're protected from lightning strikes. Because after all that, the last thing we need is for your villager to turn into a witch and kill all of your other villagers, which is definitely something that I have not done before. Yeah, believe me, it's never happened to me once. Now, the next step to the farm is getting a zombie in the farm. There's 2 real easy ways to do this. One is to build a platform on the back end of the farm so a zombie will naturally spawn in it, and then you give them their favorite treat. Sweet, juicy neck meats. I mean, just let them chase you, right? Or you can use a zombie spawner, have them spawn through a zombie, have one chase you in, and then you want to seal them in the farm. The 2 most important things to know is once you have them sealed in the farm, is you need to put a covering over them so they don't burn from the sunlight, and you need to name them. Use a name tag to give them any name that you want, and that's going to prevent them from despawning. In all of these farms, I named my zombie my favorite name in the world, name tag. The last thing to do is to make a collection chamber. The way I do it is I just have a lava blade that kills the iron golems and a hopper collection system that puts it into a chest for me. In the future, I want to combine all of these so I have one central area, but for now, this will do. So that's the quick version on how I made my iron farm. I had a couple people that I play with express interest in me making a complete tutorial for this. So if you're interested in seeing a tutorial for how I made this specifically block by block and in more detail, please let me know in the comments down below. Now that I have these 24 iron farms done, it just feeds into my strategy of getting something for nothing. Well, Trust me, this wasn't nothing. This took a lot of work. But now that it's done, I don't have to do anything, and I get a lot of reward for it. So we're going to keep stacking these type of farms to the point where we're getting a lot of money from them. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this type of content, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. And also, you can catch me streaming on Twitch. I do have my stream schedule below, so you can see me do some of this stuff live. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next episode.